personally, I believe it's because God has placed at least one person in each of our lives that we've been specifically called to witness to, that only we can reach. A person we must pursue relentlessly through planting the seed of God's Word, watering that seed with Christ's endless love and mercy, and harvesting a good crop for the kingdom of heaven. How many of you remember growing a plant in the first grade? Your teacher would give you a seed in a small cup full of good soil in which you would plant that seed. And then you would come in every morning, rain or shine, no matter what else was going on, and you would check on and water your seed. Then finally the day of triumph came. The day when the teacher called each student by name to come to the front of the class and receive their plant. And everyone was so elated. This story is a perfect example of how we should lead those that we've been called to reach to Christ. But before I get ahead of myself, let's go back to where this all began, because we must relentlessly plant seeds in the lives around us. Matthew 13, 3-8 says, "Then he told them many things in parables, saying, A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. And still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop." I've heard this parable preached on more times than I can count, and every time it's been about the kinds of soil. But I'd like to talk to you about something a little more important than the soil, the planting of the seed. Because you see, the type of soil wouldn't have mattered if no one had ever come along and planted a seed in it. In this same way, we must plant seeds in the lives around us, because if we never plant a seed, we can never reach even one lost soul. For example, my best friend is an atheist, whom I've desperately wanted to see saved for months now. And although he has yet to accept Christ, I have to make sure I do everything I can to witness to him, and that the seed of that witness begins to grow. Once we've planted the seed, we must relentlessly water it. Just like in the first grade class, the students come in excited every morning to check on and water their plants. And even if they don't see results at first, or after a few weeks, they continue to water, because they believe that their teacher gave them a good seed with the potential to grow. As Christians, we must constantly be watering our seed, because without water, it cannot grow. And even if we don't see results immediately, we can be sure that God has given us a good seed, and that if we continue to water it, it will grow. Now, I may have planted the seed in my best friend's life, but if he's never shown the love and mercy of Christ, that seed has no chance of growing. Because just as a physical seed will die without water, a spiritual seed will die without the endless love and mercy of Christ. Just as we planted and watered the seed, we must also be relentless in the harvest. Back in the first grade, the best part of this entire experience was the final day, when the teacher called us each to the front to receive our plants. And by far the most enjoyable part of reaching the one is the harvest. But many times we may only reach a single person in our entire life. A quote by Robert Schuller says, "Anyone can count the number of seeds in an apple, but only God can count the number of apples in a seed." A great example of just what this means is found in the life of Edward Kimball, who, as far as I know, reached a whopping one person in his entire life. That one person was Dwight Moody. And that wasn't the end of Kimball's achievements, because he may have only reached Dwight Moody. Dwight Moody led Wilbur Chapman. And in one of Chapman's meetings, Billy Sunday received Christ. And because of Billy Sunday, Mordecai Ham accepted Christ. And Billy Graham, a man who has preached the message of the kingdom to 215 million people in 185 countries, prayed the sinner's prayer in the service preached by Mordecai Ham. You see, just as Edward Kimball may have felt he failed as a witness, we too may feel that we have failed. When the truth is, the only person in our lives that really matters is the one God has specifically called us to reach. Now, I may not have seen the harvest of the seed I planted in my friend's life, but I continually pray and believe that one day I will, and that on that day, I can celebrate with him, because I will finally have seen the potential of the seed that God gave me. Even if you don't know it, God has placed an individual in your life that you have been specifically called to witness to. And whether planting, watering, or harvesting, we must do everything we can to reach that one. In fact, we must be relentless after the one that God has called us to reach.